Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
As of right now, the day this episode drops, it's October 31st. Happy Halloween, Ben.
Happy Halloween.
It's All Hallows Eve, everybody. And for those naysayers in Australia who like to fob it off as some stupid American bullshit, get fucked.
Actually, should we say, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween.
You're on your own there.
Happy Halloween. The Silver Shamrock.
Those same ignorant dickheads obviously failed at history too, because like Halloween, its origins are Celtic. It stems from the harvest festivals, and it's European and comes
It's European. It's
Yeah.
a
pagan.
yeah.
Yeah,
And what are we descended from?
exactly right. That's
Pagans.
That's where.
It's more Australian than it. I mean, I suppose so. Americans, really.
Yeah, they just immigrated earlier there.
Yeah.
Scottish and Irish, anyway.
I mean, it's just because we don't do the trick or treating, but the trick or treating was never really part of it.
Yeah, but the sentiment here is get fucked if you're
Yeah.
if you're a naysayer, because like, who's gonna bemoan dressing up, having fun, being part of a community?
And why can't you do new things if it's something that you haven't always done?
That's right.
Why can't you do?
It's always it's perplexing, man. It's
Yeah.
perplexing. But for those of you who love Halloween just like we do, you're in a safe place here.
It's the same as those people who are like, no, you can't like Buffy because you didn't like it on the original run. That's when I watched it. No, you can't like it now. You can't like Star Wars. You like the wrong Star Wars.
It's an interesting little tangent you went on just then.
Yeah.
I'm trying to connect it backwards, but I can't.
There's no, I'm just whinging about people whinging.
It's just a sign that we're getting old.
Yeah.
Hopefully our listeners are getting younger. No?
Why? No. Why? Surely we should be up converting, upselling.
Welcome
We
to
want to get to that point where our listeners start dying.
Welcome to Good Movie Monday, everybody. We are the weekly podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. My name is Glenn Cochran, and on the other side of the desk, behind that ugly rubber mask, is Ben Helwig.
Silver Shamrock.
This week, as you've guessed, we are embracing Halloween, offering you lots of treats. We have a bunch of movie recommendations and segments from our mates. Guillermo's back, feeling better.
Excellent.
Mind you, as of the time of this recording, I still have not got his segment.
Well, the fire alarm is going off in his building. / his dog ate his homework.
The anxiety is creeping in. Anyway, he is from the Screen Realm Entertainment website. He's going to come up soon with some movie news from across the last week. Joe Lewis, Chad Jennings, and James Thomas from the Kentucky-based podcast Bonehead Weekly. Well, they're fresh from Scarefest, actually, so
Fresh.
hopefully they're energized. They're
They're certified fresh.
going to have some Halloween recommendations of their own. And Jarrett Gunn is one of the minds behind Monster Fest, and he's also fantastic when it comes to physical media. No one knows a good date or distributor's details like that guy. He's going to be stepping up to the plate in a few minutes to let you know what new releases are coming out.
And he's a fantastic mime.
He's what?
Fantastic. You said he is one of the mimes behind Monster
I
Pictures.
said minds.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense.
I mime to you on this show all the time. It's like signals and
Wind it up.
Yeah.
Stop talking. I ignore them all.
Here's a few more obligatories. You can find this podcast where you get podcasts from. However, you can hear us on Newsly. That's the app that we would prefer you to listen to. It's 100% free, and it's an incredible service, and I'll have a little bit more to say about that later. If our voices turn you on, you should see our faces. We have video content too. Ben's miming right now, and I'm trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing.
I don't like where this is going.
Well, we do video content. It's mostly additional bonus content. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Like and subscribe and click that bell for notifications. We churn out a shitload of video content, mate.
We do.
This is for the newcomers, by the way. Ben's looking at me as if to say, like, what the fuck are you doing?
Like, I don't. But yeah, I guess. I like when you say we.
Well, you're part of it. You record it with me.
Oh well, yeah, some of it. But you do like this podcast is 90% Glenn, 10% Ben.
Well, all right, we'll have
Or
that discussion another
even
time.
maybe even less than 10%.
We'll have that discussion another time, mister. I probably asked you this last year, mate, but what does Halloween mean to you?
Did I have an answer?
Can't remember, that's why I'm asking again.
I'm a Johnny come lately. It doesn't mean that much.
It doesn't?
I mean, I never I like Halloween TV specials.
Yep.
I like, but I never went trick or treating.
But you do like lollies, right?
I love lollies.
So this is an excuse for more.
I've never needed it. I've never needed that excuse. And people who have seen the video content can affirm that I've never needed it. And my biggest issue with Halloween was that we don't get there's no public holiday around it.
I don't think America has it either.
No, I mean they have Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And they have a public holiday for that. We should have a Halloween.
They
public
go
holiday.
to school in Halloween costume. Everybody's in the spirit. The teachers dress up. The kids dress up.
Yeah, right.
The janitor dresses up.
I mean, I don't even remember learning about it in school.
Well, Halloween.
Yeah.
Well, no, because we pretty much didn't celebrate it here until the late 90s, early 2000s. You had little pockets of it when we were kids. Some neighborhoods did it, some didn't.
Yeah.
And if you were in a neighborhood that did it, there was maybe one house that, had
had
lollies.
You had to put it was like you had to wear a red handkerchief out your back pocket. So then the kids would know that there was treats in that house.
You'd only go
One
into the
form or
safety
another.
houses.
Yeah.
And look, the Americans that are listening to this are probably thinking, geez, those poor underprivileged slobs. Man, it's true, man. We have not celebrated Halloween here like over there, but
Yeah.
there are places in Australia now, like where Chloe lives, their whole neighborhood does it. It's a big thing.
Oh no, it's definitely a big thing. Like even on the way here, I saw a bunch of houses that are all decked out, like more so than Christmas.
But in the movies, every Halloween movie kind of begins with that crane shot over the street, and you see all the kids in the street and all the decorations. That is actually what it's like over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great because I've always figured it was complete horseshit.
Yeah.
Like it's just fake movie nonsense that they, like malls. Now, the first time I went to America, I was so excited to go to a mall, and I'm like, this place is like a ghost town. And this was 2005, so the internet existed, but there was no Amazon didn't exist or any of that sort of stuff. So it was still bricks and mortar was the way to go. You could still make a living, in a actual shop, and it didn't have that. It didn't have that vibe at all, and I was like, have movies lied to me my entire life?
Well, how embarrassing was it for me? The first year we lived in Vancouver, we were the only house on the street that didn't decorate. And I'm talking the next door neighbor had literally at least 500 pumpkins out the front. It was absolutely massive. We learnt our lesson. The next year was different, but it's fantastic, man. I love it.
But no one said anything the week leading up.
Why they figured that we're the foreigners on the neighborhood, but
Filthy.
People open their houses, come inside, and they create little haunts and stuff like that. It's amazing. I love it, and I hope we embrace it more as we move forward. But anyway, we're doing it here on the show. This is our celebration.
Hey, this is Jarrett, and welcome to PE Class. Huge week for releases, and headlining those releases is Top Gun Maverick, coming out from Universal Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. It's coming out on all the formats, 4K Ultra HD, Blu-ray and DVD. Now the 4K has Dolby Atmos along with Dolby Vision and HDR presentations of the film. As for special features, you've got 4 featurettes, 2 music videos and a masterclass with Tom Cruise that's taken from the Cannes Film Festival. Also out from Universal Sony Pictures Home Entertainment is E.T. the Extraterrestrial. It's coming out again for its 40th anniversary this time around, and Universal are reissuing their previous 4K release once again, however with a bunch of physical paraphernalia that includes a fold-out poster and a behind-the-scenes booklet. However, this edition does not include a Blu-ray component. What does that mean? Well, it means there is no special feature content on this release, which is a truly bizarre move. Moving on to Roadshow. Roadshow have 2 titles coming out from the Warner catalogue, making their 4K Ultra HD debuts, and both of these releases come with Blu-rays, so you do get all the special features. The first of which is Elf, and the second being The Polar Express. In that festive Christmas sort of spirit, Roadshow are also releasing from the Warner catalogue 8-Bit Christmas. This is the film that went direct to HBO Max in the US last year and Binge here in Australia, and it's coming out on DVD. Sadly, no Blu-ray. Then the last release from Roadshow is a DTV actioner that's headed direct to DVD and DVD only, with Kevin Bacon, Colson Baker and Storm Reed. It's titled One Way. Moving on to Imprint. Imprint have a ton of releases this week. I'm just going to run through the titles. We know they've got special features. We know they've got impressive slipcovers. These titles are Warning Shot, Testament, Save the Tiger, The Rose Tattoo, Pretty Baby, North Dallas 40, Comeback Little Sheba, and Ben's favourite, The Molly Maguires with Sean Connery. Then out from Defiant Screen Entertainment is Aussie director Richard Hughes' actioner The Enforcer, starring Antonio Banderas and Kate Bosworth. This one is getting a DVD-only release. Then the last distributor I will mention for this week is Pinnacle. They're releasing The Nowhere Inn. Who knew Pinnacle was actually still around? I didn't. Anyway, they're releasing this truly awful movie on DVD. It's written and starring the otherwise very talented Carrie Brownstein, who you'd know from Sleater-Kinney or Portlandia, the TV series, and fellow musician St. Vincent. Anyway, that's it for me for this week, so until next time, stay physical.
I think that E.T. on 4K will be an imminent possession of mine.
I just want to know, is it guns or is it pitchforks?
That's what I wanted to know. Will it be the director's cut? Because I believe Spielberg regrets that decision.
I hope that George Lucas regrets every director's cut decision he ever made.
But admittedly, that Spielberg director's cut was well-intentioned but very poorly done.
If you're going to do it, then put both versions on there.
Well, I mean, it might do. I haven't looked into the specs of it, although I think it might be a very bare bones one. But either way, E.T. on 4K.
Just the fact that it's 4K.
But it's not the first iteration of 4K with that movie. It's just like a new fancy package.
I seem to recall Jarrett going to extraordinary lengths to get it.
Yeah,
the first time it came out. It was like a Best Buy exclusive or something.
Now, there's also no reason whatsoever why Jarrett should have mentioned this, but let it be known that the Jesse Stone collection is getting a Blu-ray release this week too.
Why? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Jesse Stone.
Same.
But I like all of the Hallmark TV series. I just watched the Nikki and Nora, the new one with Rhiannon Fish, the Australian/not Australian actress. But not a single Hallmark movie or series. Like the only reason you need it in HD is because modern TVs make SD look really shit. I know for a fact that Stan, to force you to get the HD tier, they make the SD. It's like watching two pixels bump into each other. They really fuck you on the SD, and you're like, I've got VHS tapes that look better than this transmission. It's like they take it down, not even to like 540p.
Yeah.
They take it down to 360 or 240. Like you wouldn't watch it on YouTube. That's what they do to force you to go up.
I should have.
You're on notice, Stan. I fucking figured out your scam.
I should have laid out a trigger warning. Who would have thought Jesse Stone would lead to that?
But I mean, because it's a lot of film. Like, how many films are they cramming? 3? I mean, if they were SD versions on a Blu-ray disc, you could do the whole lot on one disc.
Oh shit!
But I mean, look, more power to them. I'm hoping that
Mystery
101 comes out on Blu-ray. But it's an odd one.
It is,
and I love Tom Selleck as much as the next guy.
Yeah, I just like the idea of having it on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray,
to be honest. But you may have also heard there that Testament is out on Blu-ray this week. And if you missed our show last week, we had an exclusive interview with the director of that film, Lynn Littman. So go back and have a listen. The video is also on YouTube and Facebook. It's a really good chat.
And it's the feel-good film of 1984.
It was our
1984?
It was our nuclear fallout episode. So it was a very depressing one. But another movie being released this week is The Enforcer with Antonio Banderas. And we have the director of that on an upcoming show too to talk about. So, yeah, there's a little bit of an upcoming peak. It's going to be a fun one. His name's Richard Hughes. He's the brother of Patrick Hughes, who did Expendables 3 and Hitman's Bodyguard. So let's move on to what we're here to do. Talk about Halloween movies. I treat Halloween movies and Christmas movies exactly the same way. I kind of, At Halloween time,
Slap them around a little.
at Halloween, I watch specific types of movies, and I kind of reserve them for Halloween. So, your Ernest Scared Stupids and things like that, where they're very much Halloween centric.
You like
Halloween.
You like Halloween movies to be about Halloween,
I do.
which is I find it very odd.
No, I do. I mean, because there
Like,
are.
I mean, when else can you watch like
Yeah,
a
exactly what I'm
Halloween
saying,
set
right?
movie?
Exactly. So I do reserve it for this time of the year, and if I miss the ship, of October, then I kind of leave them until next year. But anyway.
I do have to rewatch Hubie Halloween. I suppose I could do that tonight.
Well, yeah. I mean,
to get in under the buzzer.
I'm feeling really desperate to watch Hubie Halloween again. Like I feel like I can't watch it enough. Like and I'm not just saying that just to rile up Chloe, but it is true. It is true. Like it is a wonderful Halloween movie. I just love knowing how she's going to react to that. Anyway, but I've done the same thing this week that I did last week, except I've done it twice by picking movies that I want to talk about, then realizing how average they are. So I haven't been able to do them. Example number
I've
one.
never let that stop me.
I was going to talk about Hellions, the Bruce McDonald film.
That Monster Pictures released.
Yeah, I didn't think much of it. I remember liking it when I first saw it, watched it again, and it kind of annoyed me. Sorry, Monster Pictures, can't win them all.
No.
And so that was going to be my first pick. And then I thought, no, instead of that, I'll do Trick, which is the Patrick Lussier film. He's the guy who did Drive Angry and My Bloody Valentine. He made this slasher called Trick. And it's very
About
much...
prostitutes?
It's a very formulaic Halloween
Confessions of a
slasher
Trick
movie.
Baby?
It's kind of like Halloween. It's got a great little twist, but the execution was pretty average. And I remember I watched it, in the lead up to this and thought, no, I can't recommend this. Like I can talk about it. But
We should just rename the show to Almost Good Movie.
Yeah, that's right. We'll make it a midweek thing.
Yeah.
So
This is the here. No, that's what it should be a video, like another video that we do during the week. That here are the movies that we didn't pick,
yeah, that's
and here's
right.
why.
Well, lucky for me, I have watched quite a few Halloween-ish kind of films, and I watched a Shudder one called Revealer. Have you heard of this or seen this? Because it came from out of nowhere. I like the poster art, and I decided to watch it and really enjoyed it. It's
The best way to choose a film.
It's a cross between Pontypool and Demon Knight, if you can imagine those two combined. So the concept of this one, it's about a peep show stripper. So immediately
Excellent.
Ben's on board, and she finds herself trapped inside a peep show booth when some kind of monster invasion happens outside. And the monsters are mostly ambiguous, aside from a few tentacles and stuff getting slammed indoors and stuff like that. It's very contained. But she also realizes that also trapped inside this sleazy sex joint is one of the hard-lined conservative Christians that have been picketed on the outside, right? And she, to escape the monster invasion, got into the building. So suddenly you've got this conservative churchgoer and this stripper have to band together to outsmart the monsters or get away.
Is the conservative church lady sexy?
Yeah, you could argue she is, of course, but they
She's
dress her down.
TV ugly.
They dress her down in floral and stuff like that, but by the end of it, when she's sweaty and has to, really rely on her might,
Yeah.
things change. Like I said, the poster art.
It's not that I mind that they think this strip clubs are sleazy, but just keep it to your fucking self.
I know.
Why protest out the front?
I know. So I kind of like the way Shudder do their art. They kind of have a design, it's a bit like Netflix have their design. Shudder have a really nice little design, and that's what appealed to me. The color palette of the movie is very much like Color Out of Space. It's got very strong reds. It's got very strong sort of blues and a few greens. It's all fluoro. And that to me is what what constitutes a Halloween movie to me is the color design. Sometimes that's all I need. Anyway, it's mostly a cast of unknowns. No credits to their name, except one. I think the conservative chick was in that Scare Package anthology. I don't know if you saw those. They're like Shudder's creep show. Anyway,
No, this is new too, 2022.
yeah. All you need to know about the director Luke Boyce. This is his first feature. He's done a few shorts and a doco, but what I love is he's got another movie coming out soon that's all about dead residents from a small town that rise from the grave and then resume their normal lives like nothing had happened.
Aren't there like 2 TV shows about that where they come back from the resurrected and
Oh, that's the
something
Aussie
else?
one. Is it the Aussie one?
There's an Aussie one and there's a British one, which the Aussie one may.
No, I
have
think it's the
ripped
other way
off or
around.
the other way
The other
around.
way around. The Returned, I think
The
it was.
Returned, yeah.
That's true. I never
Where
really thought of
they-
that. So this guy's a hack.
Like unless they're like if they were like rotting corpse zombies,
No,
but
I think-
completely mentally like the same.
Sure.
Just
I
bits are
reckon-
dropping off.
I reckon if this movie revealer
And
is
then the whole point of it, the whole thing is that society, it gets so like pigeonhole them. Like they're just trying to be normal people, but they get ostracized so badly by society that they turn into the zombies or the society have kind of like become the monsters that society have created.
for someone that says that the show's 80% Glenn, whenever I have my recommendations, it's 80% Ben.
Yeah.
I reckon though,
You said you rely on me for the improv.
I certainly do, my friend. I reckon it'll be a comedic kind of take on The Return, because if this movie is anything to go by in the style and the flavour of it, I reckon it might be. But anyway, there you go. Revealer, highly recommended. It's just a low budget nasty that's fun.
Excellent.
How's it going, everybody? It's Guillermo here from Screen Realm. That's screenrealm.com and Screen Realm on YouTube. Be sure to check out everything we've got going on, as always, with release schedules, trailers, and all that jazz. It's good to be back. I was away last week because I was quite sick. My voice may still sound a little sick, but I'm feeling much better. Good to be back. As always, I'm here to tell you about a few of the big movie news stories over the past week, kicking off with a big development in the DC screen universe. As first reported by the Hollywood Reporter, filmmaker James Gunn and producer Peter Safran are leading DC film, TV, and animation efforts as co-chairs and co-CEOs of DC Studios, which is a newly formed division at Warner Brothers replacing DC Films. Essentially, the hope is that Gunn and Safran will be like the Kevin Feige of Marvel, but in the DC side of things, to hopefully hone everything into a coherent universe, which has been a bit of a problem over at Warner Brothers. James Gunn will reportedly be focusing on the creative side of things, and Safran will be focusing on the business and production side of things. James Gunn has, of course, directed films for both DC and Marvel. On the DC side, he directed The Suicide Squad, and he's behind the Peacemaker series. And for Marvel, he's directed Guardians Part 1, 2, and the upcoming 3, as well as the upcoming Disney Plus special, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And in more big DC movie news over the past week, Henry Cavill is officially going to be back as the Man of Steel, Superman. As those that have seen Black Adam will know, Henry Cavill makes a brief appearance towards the end as Superman, and I guess apologies if that's a spoiler, but even Cavill has made it official on social media, posting a video where he says, "I wanted to wait for the weekend before posting this because I wanted to give you a chance to watch Black Adam. I wanted to make it official, I am back as Superman. Thank you for your support and thank you for your patience. I promise it will be rewarded." Of course, details as to this next Superman film are being kept firmly under wraps, although Henry Cavill did tell the media that, I quote, "I'm so excited to tell a story with an enormously joyful Superman," which is perhaps a reference to the dark Superman elements we've been getting so far. We'll see what happens here. Over to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where Deadpool 3 will see the return of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and Hugh Jackman has shared a little more about his upcoming reprisal. Speaking of the Associated Press, he said, "It's a lot of fun. It's been 5 years, and I really never thought I'd come back. And I'm really excited to come back." Of course, he didn't give much in the way of detail, but he did offer a little bit of a tidbit when it comes to Wolverine this time around. I quote, "He's definitely angrier, grumpy, and he's gonna take a lot of free shots at Ryan Reynolds, let me tell you. Physically, that is." So there you have it, Wolverine grumpier, apparently. Because he's always been such a happy guy, of course. Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara, who are married in real life, will be starring together in a film titled The Island. The film is coming from Polish director Paweł Polikowski, whose credits include acclaimed films Ida, Cold War, and My Summer of Love. The film is to be a dramatic thriller inspired by true events. The plot will follow an attractive American 1930s couple who turn their back on civilization to build their own private paradise on a deserted island and live off the land. But after a millionaire passing by on his yacht inadvertently turns them into a tabloid newspaper sensation, a self-styled countess arrives out of the blue with her two strange lovers with plans to take over the island and build a luxury hotel. Psychological warfare, betrayal, murder, infidelity, seduction, and jealousy ensue. That about does for me, guys, and for our Australian listeners, head to screenrealm.com to enter a couple of giveaways we've got going on. We're giving away Blu-ray copies of the once-lost George A. Romero film, The Amusement Park, which is now available on DVD, digital, and Blu-ray. That's thanks to Acorn Media, and we're giving away cinema tickets to Aussie satirical thriller Sissy, which is in Australian cinemas from November 3rd. Thanks so much, everyone. Catch you next week.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Yes, it's that time of the episode where I interrupt everything, spoil the flow, and just remind you to get the Newsly app on your phone. I'm not gonna plug it at length this week, but get the Newsly app on your phone, the super app. You know, everything you want. It's free. do it. And if you want a free month of premium just to check out what that's all about, use our code Monday, MNDAY. It's Monday without the O. And yeah, you'll get a whole month for free. There's nothing to lose. Check it out. Get the Newsly app on your phone. Listen to us. Do us a favor. Yeah, it's great. On with the show. Wow, Ben. So we heard from Guillermo a few minutes ago, but it was only sort of a moment ago in our time that he delivered that segment. So how weird's that?
I was just hoping that you would cut to him and then nothing happened. And then it just cuts back to us and we just don't mention it.
Yep. And of course, that song
I love
was...
that he's not going to hear any of this because he does not listen to the show.
I know. Well, this will be the proof in the pudding, right? Yeah. Guillermo, if you're listening, let us know.
Let us know.
So the song that you just heard was Do the Boogaloo by Quando Sparky from Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
How can you remember any other song?
Well, because you've already sung the song that matters. Well, I thought I'd just spice things up with another one. Alrighty, so just before I throw to your recommendation, just want to run through some more family-friendly.
Well, you've ruined it now because I was going to talk about the film that you just had the song, and now you've put the distance between it.
Were you?
Yeah, I was going to talk about Halloween 3 because fuck it.
Okay, go for it. Do it. Do it.
Well, now you got to do the thing.
I don't have to do anything.
You got to do the intro.
What intro? Like I'm just talking. Like, you know, if you wanna have a crack at it, I can always I can throw in what I was gonna say afterwards.
Yeah, but now how's it? What do I give a shit?
Okay, so that was Season of the Witch, Do the Boogaloo by Quando Sparky. Ben, what's your recommendation?
Funny you should mention that, Glenn. In the worst segue in podcast history. I was and you'll find out later.
May I say before you start that every single episode we have ever recorded comes in from the song the same way. So why would you expect I'd throw immediately to you?
It doesn't, because you've only recently split up our recommendations. We used to do it one after the other.
Continue.
I had decided to do Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, only because when you pitched this topic, originally when we spoke about it, to my memory, we were just going to talk about all the Halloween films.
Yep.
And then when I asked you last week, okay, what are the rules? You said, there's no rules. And then I saw the message go out to everyone else going, Halloween-themed films. I'm like, oh, okay. So there are rules.
You and I, no, there's not. You just read things the way you want to read them.
Yeah. In the way that I can take the greatest offense and get upset about. That's how I take everything. It's a personality trait. I've seen a shrink about it. They gave me some paperwork. I said, that's very nice, and then just ignored them and went about my way, and then took offense at it.
Okay.
But
So to everyone that's ever written into me about what's wrong with Ben, I can just dump all those emails.
Yeah.
Rest assured, he's aware.
yeah, I know.
As you were.
I know what's wrong with me, and I just don't care. Deal with it.
I am loving this episode. This is great.
But I thought, fuck it. I'm going to talk about, and then I saw, and it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't appeared on the episode yet. But the Boneheads segment, which is coming up later, I did know, you did tell me what the songs were going to be on this show, but because you mentioned it now, I'm like, all right, fucking, I'm going to talk about Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, because it is a fucking awesome Halloween movie.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, but I really like it. And it is such a bizarre film because it is not in any way, shape, or form what has become known as Halloween film. And I think what's to blame is Halloween 2.
Of course.
Which is a shameless studio cash-in that I believe Carpenter had to do in order to get something to do something else.
No, I think
Or-
in order for him to get the third movie
one,
made,
yeah, he had to do the second one that
Well,
was exactly the same as the
in
first
order
one.
to turn it into an anthology,
Yeah,
he was obligated to number 2, which ruins the whole concept, like you said, of an anthology.
of an anthology series. Yeah, it's a real shame. But it is such a good. And it stars the the horror's leading man, Tom Atkins. It's so, who is so great as the everyman.
Yep.
Although this film, and I don't know if it's because it's Tommy Lee Wallace, the first film he'd ever directed, and it based on I thought it was Carpenter kind of wrote the script, and I think then Tommy Lee Wallace kind of rewrote it. But there's a lot of scenes with Tom Atkins that you feel like, was this just improv to just get to this point?
Maybe.
It's a bit.
He was in that movie Trick that I was going to do, and once again, it kind of feels like his stuff was very much improv.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's an interesting actor, and I haven't seen a movie with Tom Atkins in it that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
And this is such it is a John Carpenter horror movie that's not a John Carpenter, but it's about as close as you can get.
Yeah.
In every way, shape, and form to being a John Carpenter movie without actually being a John Carpenter
I completely
movie.
agree.
It has that vibe, it has the feel, the music is there, everything about it is screams John Carpenter. Just it's by Tommy Lee Wallace.
Yeah.
Who is virtually grew up at the feet of John Carpenter, kind of. I mean, they went to school together. They weren't,
mentor.
he wasn't a mentor. They were contemporaries, but and it is such a bizarre, entertaining film. I thoroughly enjoy. I kind of forgot where I was going.
That's all right.
Where I was going.
We've
there.
recently been drawing comparisons to this and the new Halloween Ends. In that, Halloween Ends is them trying to go in a different direction, do something new.
Well, you kind of think it's what Halloween 2 should have been.
Yeah.
Because this one leads in, Halloween Kills leads into maybe Halloween becoming an anthology series.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the death of Michael Myers and the theory that, like Derry in It, Haddonfield, the people of Haddonfield and the fear and anger and
It's a town that
despair.
festers evil.
Yeah.
absolutely.
have so it's a fascinating idea, and this one, like, they don't at any point, to my recollection, and maybe I missed something. There is no. It's not Haddonfield that the movie is set in.
No, I don't think so. In fact, I recall there somewhere in there, maybe like an Easter egg, there is a reference to the original.
I mean, they
story.
watch the movie constantly in the film.
Maybe that was it.
They're always watching Halloween.
So it's not in the same universe.
Well, in that Halloween, the Halloween films exist
Yes.
as films
Yes. So it's
in
not
that.
in the same universe.
Yeah.
So Michael
Yeah.
Myers does not exist in their world
No.
because he's on their screens. Yeah.
No.
See, I always, for some reason I thought it was in the same universe, but I forgot about that. So.
And it is like, and the everything about it is great. I don't like Nancy Loomis. I thought was really underrepresented in the film. Like she, like, considering that she's a Carpenter regular, it's like he just threw her in and then did nothing with her as a fuck you. Like all she gets to do is whinge at Tom Atkins. It's like such a shame that she doesn't get used. Like everyone else gets killed.
Yeah.
She doesn't. And the thing that doesn't make sense is what happens to the kids, like the mask. Like that stuff is really like the actually, like, their face exploding, which I don't want to give anything
Well,
away.
let's give away some of the what the gist of the movie's about. If you haven't actually seen it, it's pretty much an evil toy maker or mask maker that he poisons the masks and sends them out to the world.
They've got this little the silver shamrock
Yes,
symbol
that's
that's
right.
a computer chip, because that's how they pitched this movie to Tommy Lee Wallace, was that it's slashers meets the computer age kind of thing.
That's right.
And when it gets a certain signal from the
Programs
TV,
malfunction. Yeah.
they malfunction and they zap
Yep.
the wearer.
Yep.
And it's actually, when I first watched Halloween 3, it's not what I thought. I thought the kids were going to turn into, like, killers.
Yeah.
When in fact, and it doesn't.
It's dark shit.
Yeah, it's fucking dark. Like, it's just there to kill the kids.
Yep.
But what happens after that is the weird part.
Yeah.
I don't really want to spoil it.
Oh,
It's
don't.
just, if you haven't seen it, then you
Yep.
should definitely check
I mean,
it
we,
out.
we have given Halloween 3 a lot of time over the last few weeks, which is great. Like, I don't remember any Halloweens previously where we've talked about it as much as we have this year, which I love. And maybe it's because of the new Halloween that we're doing that. But what appeals to me about it is the fact that it's kids. The kids are the ones that are the victims. I love that.
And his whole reason, the mask maker's reason for it is just like, fuck you.
Exactly right. And if you think about it, I mean, that's more or less the gist of Silent Night, Deadly Night 5, right?
Yeah.
The toy maker, it's the same kind of thing. And I think that's what appeals to me, is the fact that this old man going after kids.
Yeah.
I love it. Anyway, good one.
But, because, and like I said, I wasn't actually going to talk about it because Joe does bring it up, as you will hear soon in
Yep.
the
in a
Bonehead
moment,
segment,
in fact.
in a moment.
Or I could just chop him out.
Just cut his segment. So I thought, as a last ditch replacement, I was like, I'll do the Garfield Halloween special, because I used to love watching that as a kid, and it's terrifying. But then when I did watch it again today, it literally goes for 20 minutes.
Yeah, of course. But I would have allowed it.
It's super short, but
I'm glad
great.
I'm glad you brought it up. It's a kids Halloween movie. It's also super short, as is Mr. Boogedy 1 and 2.
But they're 60 minutes. I think
They are 60
they're
minutes,
hour-long
which is-
episodes of the Walt Disney
Exactly,
Hour or
but
whatever
they
it
are
was.
great family-friendly Halloween movies I'd recommend. And I wanted to talk about some sort of family-friendly ones here just before we throw to the boneheads. There's some new ones that I highly recommend. Night Books is really good. That's on
You really liked it.
Netflix.
I couldn't get into it.
It's the director of Brightburn. You know that superhero, R-rated superhero movie?
About a kid with who they give parents figure out their son may be a supervillain.
Well, yeah, Brightburn is Superman.
Yeah,
You know,
but
the dark side of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Evil Superman.
And that was produced by Sam Raimi, Night Books. Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting is another one. That's directed by Rachel Talalay, who's one of the writers and producers behind most of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I really like that. It's got that Malfoy from Tom.
Yeah, I
was
hate
it-
that kid.
Do
Yeah.
you? Oh, he's great in this though. He
Yeah.
kind of has a Tom Cruise from Rock of Ages look about him.
I just think he must be really pissed off at that kid that plays the asshole prince in Game of Thrones, because like those two, like they're his kind of roles. That's all he can play.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know, unless he turns into Logan Paul or Jake Paul or one of those turd
Yeah,
burgers.
that is scary. And Disney just recently remade Under Wraps. That was a 90s telly movie they did for the Disney Channel. They've just redone them for Disney Plus. So
And of course, they did the Goosebumps movies not too long ago.
Yep.
And what's the other one? The House with the Clock in the Walls.
I was going to drop those a bit later, but you've covered that for me. And hey, Marvel have just entered the horror realm, or they've brought the horror world into the MCU
with
with
Morbin Time.
Werewolf by Night.
Oh, Werewolf by Night. Yeah, the TV series. But Morbius too. Don't forget Morbius.
Well,
That I
Morbius as
refuse to go and see.
well.
I mean, I love Morbius. I love Ghost Rider. I love those comics. They do not translate that well to the screen. But I refused because I didn't want to go into the see it at Melbourne Central.
Anyway, that is the most of MCU you'll get out of me. I think I've hit my quota for the year by that sentence alone.
You've seen all of them, though, haven't you?
Regretfully,
I don't think there's a...
Oh no, I haven't seen all of them. I've seen as many as I've had to, and don't.
What's missing? I'm
Oh,
curious.
jeez, there's heaps. Name them and I'll tell you.
Well, there's all the Avengers movies. You would have seen all those. All the Captain Americas.
No, yeah, I have seen
All
those.
the Ant-Mans. All
Yes.
the Black Panthers, except for the new one.
You're right.
Like what? Like the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, far out.
Iron Man. Like
Yep.
they've only done like that's all they've done. Is the core.
Fuck my
It's
life,
still
man.
the core unit, the core Avengers universe.
No, I haven't done
Like
Morbius.
unless you haven't done. I thought you went to see Morbius.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, right.
No.
Okay. So
Anyway.
and that's not really. That's in the other
Yeah, it's the Sony
the
version.
Venom
Yep.
universe.
Spider-Man and
Yeah.
Anyway, we've given way too much time to MCU now. Let's throw it over to the Boneheads and will Joe appear in this segment or will I cut him out? That's the big question.
You have the power.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. We're talking Halloween and Halloween movies in the spooky season. Chad,
And I think I've got the perfect voice for this episode.
you have the perfect voice to do Jessica Rabbit.
Hi, Glenn.
Yeah.
Hi, Ben.
And you know you always wanted to hear from Kathleen Turner. So for this season, I want to talk about one of the most unappreciated sequels of all time. A sequel that tried to swing for the fences, a sequel that tried to do something different with a franchise where this franchise could have went on and been something really spectacular, where we got a different voice every year. I'm not talking about that piece of shit Halloween Ends. I'm talking about Halloween 3. No, Halloween Ends will never be Halloween 3. Although I do say Halloween Ends is slightly better than Halloween Kills, just simply because they tried to do something different. They just sucked. All right, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. We all know the story. Tommy Lee Wallace, written and directed by another Kentuckian, had the reins handed over to him, and they wanted to do something different. And I get it. Doesn't that make sense to you all? Take the Halloween franchise and do a different Halloween movie with it every year. It didn't work.
Well, I mean, no, it works really well. It's just
But,
not
I
what
mean,
people wanted.
It's just people
People wanted more Michael Myers.
They didn't market it correctly. They didn't. James, it just doesn't work. But I tell you right now, if for some odd reason you're one of those people out there who does not remember Halloween 3 fondly, it's kind of slow, but go check it out. It does swing for the fences. Chad.
Man, there's a million ways I could go with this. And I'm not going to talk about not necessarily a good film, but it scared the piss out of me as a kid. The Unnameable.
I haven't seen that in a long time. I don't remember anything. I remember the poster art box.
Yeah.
When I do the movie.
So The Unnameable, it's based on an H.P. Lovecraft film. When I saw this movie as a kid, the monster in there scared the ever-loving hell out of me. My long story short, just a quick recap. My dad had a friend, and when we would go to his house, there was a house that looked very similar to the one that was in that movie. And I could not get out of the car. That's how scared that movie made me. I watched it about 2 years ago. It is a dog turd. There's nothing scary in it. It is just literally people walking down hallway corridors for maybe an hour and 20 minutes. But that creature is still scary as hell. That's the only thing you can say about The Unnameable. But because it's a quick fun size for Glenn, I had to talk about one of those few movies that scared the hell out of me.
I'm going to talk about a movie that doesn't get the attention it deserves. It's not a great movie. It wants to be The Evil Dead, and it's not The Evil Dead. But I actually rewatched it again, and I was like, you know what? It's just a fun movie because we all know the true evil is not Halloween. It's obviously that devil rock and roll.
Gene Simmons and Ozzy.
Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne playing a reverend in that for all of 5 minutes is brilliant casting for the time that it came out, which would be, of course, 1986. I'm talking about Trick or Treat, where the evil rock musician Sammy Kerr has died, but it turns out if you play his evil rock and roll backwards, which is his plan, he will be resurrected as a demon overlord or some such. It doesn't matter. It's all about this kind of loser kid obsessed with hard rock who has to take on his idol who has died because his idol was in league with the devil. There you go. It's just a fun movie. It's not great, but it's a lot of fun. And the fact nobody talks about Trick or Treat other than obsessive people like me. It's a shame. Check out Trick or Treat if you've never seen it. 1986.
This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size.
Hey, Ben, here's a motorboat.
Well, as you can tell, I did leave Joe in there simply because he had another crack at Halloween Ends. Like, every time he has a crack, I'm going to defend it. Reevaluate that movie, mate.
Yeah. He will.
In 20 years.
In 20 years' time, yeah. And then be like, oh, no, I always liked it.
Yeah, we'll just hold that to him. All right? If this show's still going in 20 years,
Then
we'll play this segment back.
we told you would.
Chad's voice is, I wouldn't say it's sexy this week. It sounds like deep-throated in a chainsaw is probably the best way to describe
I
it.
thought you just slowed him down by 1.5%.
Anyway, good selections there from the Boneheads. Yes, don't forget to catch their podcast, Bonehead Weekly. It's available wherever you get podcasts from, and they do a video version of that as well. And I don't know if it's dropped at this point in time, but their panel at Scarefest with Lloyd Kaufman and the Troma Babes.
The Tromets.
The Tromets is
The Gynos.
that'll go up very soon.
The Troma Gynos.
Yes, so make sure you check that out as well. Another little binge I had recently, Ben. I love Halloween time because I just, watch all these quirky movies that I might not necessarily watch any other time. I did the double feature of Young Frankenstein and Dracula Dead and Loving It. And I had such a good time watching those. But I also did Fearless Vampire Killers, and that made for a great triple feature.
Yeah, right.
Are you a fan of that? I reckon that is one of the underrated comedies of all time.
Oh, look, I tried to watch it. I watched it in my early teens, and I just didn't appreciate the style of humor. But
it's very Mel Brooksy, and
and I don't really like. There's certain Mel Brooks films that I love,
Yep.
and then other ones that I just
Well, Fearless
Can't be
Vampire
bothered
Killers
with.
is Roman Polanski, right?
no, I know that.
Yeah. But I watched it because it just had the same flavor of those Young Frankenstein and that. But the scene at the start where they rock up to the tavern and the professor's frozen to death, and they pick him up like an ice block and carry him inside and put him near the fire and like keep rubbing him until he wakes up. Fucking funny. Anyway. No.
I don't remember. I haven't seen it since I was at like 13. Like I have no idea what you're talking about. I remember Sharon Tate's in it
Yeah, that's true.
and Roman Polanski's in it. But
Yep.
that's it.
Alrighty. Anyway,
That's all I remember.
I just wanted
I
to
thought they were your recommendations.
No.
Oh,
Just,
okay.
I always like to throw out some other, hey, this is what I've seen recently.
Yeah, I need to start doing that as well.
You should. I mean, that would make us more of a movie show then. Just more movies, the better.
Once again, you don't show me the script.
Fucking once again, I don't need to. Throw shit at me, mate. You know the theme. Run with it.
How can I run with it when you've planned out the show? you're like, I want to talk about this now.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about this now.
Did you not?
There's no.
Did you not know that it's a Halloween episode?
Yeah, I did.
So you can throw anything at it.
Yeah, but how can I when I couldn't even do the review when I wanted to because you already had it planned out that you're going to talk about something else
Mate,
first.
you're overreacting here. You're overreacting.
doesn't,
You just do what you want. Interrupt whenever you want. Throw whatever you want at the show. It's been like this since the start, my
It
friend.
doesn't work that way.
So my official recommendation, I'm going to suggest that you all check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark if you haven't seen it. Did you watch this one recently? It's it's from the director of The Autopsy of Jane Doe and Troll Hunter. His name's Andre Overdell, I think it is. Produced by Guillermo del Toro, adapted from the popular series of children's books of the same name. So right off the bat, it's essentially a kid's horror movie, although it's fucking terrifying for a kid's horror movie. but it really does take you back to those sort of scary horror movies of the 80s. I'm talking stuff like The Gate and Gremlins and Monster Squad and Arachnophobia, those sort of Amblin-ish kind of horror movies. This one's set in the 1960s, which immediately has a great nostalgic sort of quality to it. And the story is essentially about a small town that has a sinister past, and a group of teenagers discover a thought to be rumored book in the basement of this old mansion. The mansion's abandoned. And it was written by a girl that was held captive for many years. And the book is haunted. So the book actually reads people instead of them reading it, and it writes their future. And each of them kind of die to sort of an urban legendy kind of fate. So, like, for example, one girl gets the spiders that breed inside her cheek. There's another one where a scarecrow comes to life. And it kind of plays out like an anthology movie without being an anthology movie, because it is all one story, but each character has their own little sub-story. So I reckon it's a super atmospheric movie. The monsters are fucking terrifying, and they're all modeled from the book as well. So if you're a fan of these books, they're illustrated, very, very creepy illustrations, and these designs of the creatures are exactly like the book. And it's sort of a cross between Goosebumps and Fear Street. I reckon that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I know we actually did something with it. I think we may have played it at the Monster Fest launch one year. It was the movie that we played when we did program announcements at the cinema.
I would love to see a sequel.
But I didn't actually think that much of, and I know I'm going against but I didn't think that much of Autopsy of Jane Doe.
I'd like that one, yeah.
I mean, I remember at the time going, that's all right, but I could not tell you anything about it now.
That one to me...
I couldn't tell you who was in it.
Emil Hirsch and Brian Cox. But that's the one that you said before that Halloween 3 is as John Carpenter-y as you can get to John Carpenter. I reckon Jane Doe is also very John Carpenter-y as well. Anyway, whatever the case, this movie's fantastic, and I just love how scary this is for... It's an American PG kind of movie, right? It's not that extreme. It's just the images are very scary. There's no language, there's no sex, there's not much violence. It's just fucking horrific to look at. So there you go. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Perfect Halloween movie. I reckon I'm going to make this an annual thing. I'd love to watch it again next year and bring us a part 2. It's scary stories with an S, plural.
Is it the kind of thing that could work with different directors?
Yeah, totally.
Like
you could make it
different...
anthology, in fact, like I said, this
like
isn't
that Trick or Treat.
Very much, or like Fear Street. You could do it like that. Anyway,
fuck, I loved Fear Street. I thought that was really good. Like much stronger than Honeymoon's okay.
Yeah,
but I really liked the 3 Fear Street films.
They are great. It wasn't a problem with me, but the only sort of criticism I have of those is that they are based on the Fear Street books, right? But
I haven't read all.
Right, and they are R.L. Stine books for teenagers. But it's like they took those concepts of those books, but then made them R-rated instead of maybe being PG-13 or Australian MA. I don't have a problem with that because I love extremities in horror, but it's a little disservice to what the original books were.
So, I think if you take it as the kids who read those books aren't 12 anymore.
No, I get that.
So
and
it's like
I said,
it's like
not
the difference between the first Harry Potter movie and the last Harry Potter movie. Yeah. Like they are, and the books were the same for Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like they took it as
they
if
grew up with
you read that when you were 8.
Totally.
Then when you read the next one, you were 9.
Yep.
And by the time, and there is nothing, especially a horror fan, and I know this from my niece who is 12 or 13 now. She doesn't want to watch anything that's appropriate for a 12-year-old to watch.
I get that. 100%.
She only wants to watch...
I'm coming from a very nostalgic place here. It's kind of like... For me, it felt like it was jumping on a bandwagon like the Banana Splits had done, with taking a kid's property and making it adult. I feel like this one probably just took it a little bit further than it should have. But nevertheless, they're fucking great.
You know what's actually come out? I saw it. It hasn't come out here yet. It's come out in the States. But the Bring It On horror movie.
I know.
And I was tempted to kind of watch it for this show, and I thought, well, it's not really Halloween-y. I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
I think it is set in Halloween. They're on a Halloween, like they're at a cheer camp.
Yeah.
And it's the whole spirit stick kind of thing slasher. But
I remember reporting news of that going into production, when the show first started.
We were so excited about the fact that it was being made. What disappoints me about it is that it's gone straight to VOD.
Yeah,
Like it hasn't had any kind of like either they have no faith in it or that's what it was always supposed to be. But
or it just doesn't fit with the box set. Like, you know, you've got this one
oh no,
installment.
it definitely doesn't fit with the box set.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
they could have done a if it was good enough, and I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know if it is.
Yeah.
But you would think, and the same with Banana Splits movie. I don't think that got a theatrical here.
Probably not. And if it did, it might have been just like a bit of a exhibition.
I mean, look,
screening.
the fact of the matter is, in Australia especially, the Australian distributors have no fucking idea what to do with horror movies. Like, the people who run those studios don't like horror films, they don't like horror fans, and they constantly, do a disservice to horror fans in this country.
Yeah, I completely
I'm
agree.
calling them out on this show.
It's true. And yet it's such big business horror these days. Look, this has been the best year for horror.
It's big business in the States.
Yeah.
It's not big business here because they drop the ball all the time. They don't support it with any kind of marketing. They don't support it with holding back the VOD releases.
I hope the people that matter are listening.
Yeah.
They won't care.
They won't.
Good Movie Monday is made possible with the support of people like Viewlorium. Viewlorium is a streaming platform for rare and obscure movies, and it's absolutely free. They also have a catalogue full of kids' flicks, classic movies, foreign cinema, and more. Visit viewlorium.com today to see what it's all about.
I was going to ask you a question, and you kind of answered it right off the bat at the start of the show. I was going to say, like, do Halloween decorations and displays in shopping centres and supermarkets get you excited? I'm going to guess that's a big fat no.
Look, not here, because here I found it like the first time I went to the States around Halloween, and admittedly, I think it was maybe the start of September, and I went to like Halloween Town and Kmart and stuff like that, and they had the most amazing Halloween decorations and props and toys and costumes and the whole bit. Here, we have no once again, like the people who run the movie studios, the people who do the buying for Kmart and Target and retail stores have their heads shoved so far up their ass that they do not understand what the zeitgeist is until it's 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like they are just so bad at their jobs. Like here, like they say in Jay and Silent Bob, here's the pulse, and here are their fingers shoved all the way up their ass, and as far away from the pulse as they could possibly be, which is not true because you can test someone's pulse by shoving their finger. Anyway,
You can.
it's an odd way to do it, but you can do it. You can tell the temperature. You can count the heartbeats. You can feel it pulsing.
I'm just thinking of road trip now.
But yeah. So, like here, when I see them, it actually fills me with sadness because they're so shit
Yeah.
and plastic and cheap
Mhm.
and nasty and.
Mind you, this year they've brought out those pimply pumpkins. You've seen those, like the supermarkets have these giant carving pumpkins, and this year they're all covered in
I've seen-
growth. Like they've got.
Oh, I haven't
they've
seen
got,
that.
like,
I've seen that
warts
they
all over
had
them.
the because when I was a kid and we used to Dad used to buy us pumpkins to carve for Halloween.
Yeah.
but they were they were-
Butternuts and shit.
Yeah, they were the wrong shaped one. They
You
weren't like
needed,
the
like,
ones. But
Butcher's knife to really hack at that.
yeah, and I mean, in all fairness to him, it's not like he knew.
No.
But
We
I
do-
don't recall seeing until this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually seen those Halloween pumpkins for sale at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Like pumpkin is always comes in quarters
Well,
or whatever it is. You never see the whole one.
Well, the thing is too, like America has carving pumpkins. They are bred for carving, and maybe the last 3 or 4 years we've started to get them in supermarkets here, but they're not for consuming. Like they are particularly for carving.
I wonder if you can. Can you eat the inside? What does
You
it taste
probably can turn them into pie or something like that, but
Pumpkin
they
pie-
are
chunkin'
kind
pumpkin.
of hollow inside, so they're sort of made for the knife to slice right through and just carve easily. Anyway, you answered my question right there. You may as well continue with your final recommendation and bring us to the end of the show, mate.
Well, you know how you said that the film that you talked about had no sex, no violence, no.
Yep.
Well, mine is the exact opposite.
Fantastic.
I decided to, and look, I've wanted to see it for a long time, and so I took a punt that it wasn't going to be terrible. And I don't know if I can really label it as a good movie, but it was definitely watchable. It is the 2009 remake of Night of the Demons.
Right. Well, I have not seen this one.
I remember this being a fairly big deal when it came out.
Yep.
And it starred Diora Baird, who had just been in Playboy and stuff like that, and who now has an OnlyFans account and does, like, the way she promotes it, it's all innocent. Like, just, this is me in my bikini. It is not. I have seen things I never thought I would see. Anyway, and it is great. Thank you, Diora.
Look at this cast. Yeah, go for it.
I honestly, it's been about 5 years since I watched the original Night of the Demons, let alone Night of the Demons 2 or 3. So I can't figure out if this actually directly follows on from one of those films. Linnea Quigley does pop up, and I'd say in 2009 she would have had to be in her 50s, if not more. But she's basically wearing the same outfit that she wears at the beginning of Night of the Demons, but it's just like kids knock on her door, and she gives them candy. And when she turns around and bends over to pick up the candy. The view is just as good as it always was.
Oh, you can see
I will
the candy.
put that out there. But basically, so this film is similarly, there is a party at a house, and this house has a history. And the main kind of three characters are Diora Baird, who is kind of looking to hook up with her ex, and Monica Keena, who's the kind of main one. But this movie comes at an odd time for Monica Keena because she'd, for seemingly no reason other than her own insecurities, decided to have massive fake plastic surgery. Like, she is I don't even know if it was her fault. She may have just had a really bad reaction to, like, the Botox, because it's like a horror story. Like, her face
really
looks swollen and weird, and it totally destroyed her career. Like, it really fucked her up after, I think, maybe Freddy vs. Jason or whatever, the one like that she did.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks super weird. Luckily, Halloween actually, because she's in costume, it actually kind of works, but she still looks like, not as bad as the cat lady who, or Michael Jackson, but she looks pretty fucked up.
Yeah, right.
But it's her and Bobby Sue Luther, and they all go to this party where they hook up with these guys. One of them is a very weird Eddie Furlong who turns up, but he's like, drug bloated Eddie Furlong, who, and funnily enough, in the film he's playing a drug dealer who has like this side story that really goes absolutely nowhere, this subplot that is a complete waste of time and completely unnecessary to the film. But they go to this house, and then, of course, I think the party at the house is being run by Shannon Elizabeth. So the boobs on display in this film are amazing. Yeah. And there is a fantastic scene where once Diora Baird gets possessed, she tries to seduce... That's great. She tries to seduce one of the guys, and she's like, "Can you help me reapply my whiskers, or whatever it is, or my ears?" And he's like, "Oh, what about your boyfriend?" And he's like, "No, he can't help me. Can you just?" And she pulls down her top, and bearing in mind, she has just had a sex scene. That's how she gets turned. Like, it's similar to the first one. Once they make out, they can pass the demon possession on to the next person. She is her boyfriend is having sex with her doggy style, and he literally turns into a demon halfway through and kind of tears her guts out, and then she turns into a demon and seems to, heal herself somehow. But there is no nudity in that sex scene.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, the camera is very careful not to show you anything. And I was like, this is an odd choice for Night of the Demons and this cast. Then, when she just pulls down her top, takes a stick of lipstick, and then literally pushes it into her nipple, until it goes inside her body. Then the camera pans down where she reaches between her legs and starts fiddling around. A massive torrent of blood
Ugh.
just spurts out from between her legs, and eventually, and this, like, it goes on for a good 20 seconds of her digging around.
Jesus.
Like, she's searching for that guy's car keys,
Yeah.
if you're familiar with that joke. Pulls out the lipstick.
Man.
It is so totally bizarre. And look at the rules of the film are a bit weak.
Yep.
But it is a lot of fun.
It's a really, really odd movie to remake, I reckon.
Look, I think it's a smart movie to remake, just not the way they did it.
Well, I was going to say it kind of it does, like, I have some sort of self-imposed rules on what remakes should be or what they shouldn't be, and I've always said that if you're going to remake a movie, make sure that original movie underperformed or was a turkey to begin with, something that you can improve upon, because if it's already good, why bother? And I feel like that's a good candidate, right? Night of the Demons, it's a classic cult movie, but you can improve it. And I guess it just, they've done it, but I've never seen it.
It's a weird one too. Like it definitely, had it been done 10 years earlier,
Yeah.
with the right cast, it could have been a Scream
And maybe the right director.
type and the
like-
right director.
yeah.
I don't know who directed.
I
this
looked him
one.
up before.
Adam. Yes.
Yeah, I've not heard of him.
And look, he's.
I'm sure
He did Tales. He was one of the guys in Tales of Halloween.
Okay.
Which wasn't too bad. Looking at his other things, he plays the homeless man in Big Ass Spider, which has been retitled to Mega Spider.
He's
on
part of
IMDb
that
for
new
some
sort of
reason.
alumni of the new crop of Masters of Horrors that are doing the rounds. You've got the is it Mike Mendez, and Adam.
They're not master. I suppose what counts as low budget today.
Well, they are.
Mike Mendes has actually done something.
When I say that, I mean that they are the new rookies on Mick Garris's Masters of Horror luncheons and dinners that he does and posts. Like, they are the new crop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it should be the guy who directed Barbarian and
Yeah, well, I mean,
It Follows.
no
and,
doubt
like they're the masters
next
of
wave.
horror.
They would-
Although, I have my issues with Nope,
Yeah.
Nope, and Us.
Yes, but I guess they are people making horror movies in today's world, whether we like them or not. And yeah,
And it is one of those things that too, when you look at like Toby Hooper and John Carpenter and stuff, they were all making they were relatively low budget horror movies.
they were to begin with. Absolutely.
Yep.
And
these guys it's just that low budget today looks a lot shitter than low budget in the 70s and 80s.
We've had that conversation, and we kind of remember we reduced it to the fact that it's probably the film versus video. Everything
Digital and CGI effects and stuff like
Yeah.
that. The good thing about practical effects was when they're shit, they still look kind of good.
Yeah.
When digital effects look shit, they look shit.
And when they're practical, the actors are reacting to them.
Yeah.
As opposed to
a
nothing.
tennis ball on a stick.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you've got shitty actors, it's hard
Yep,
to get a
totally.
good performance when they're reacting to a tennis ball on a stick.
That's
But No, the Demons definitely worth a watch.
Cool. I'll add it
there's
to my list.
There's lots of tentacles, nipple tentacles.
It's really
there's
really
there's
funny.
crawling on the ceiling. There's demon heads. There's
It's bizarre that
blood
you
on the walls.
that you bring it up, because maybe a week ago I was looking at the posters for the 3 original trilogy films, right? And I thought I need to revisit these because Brian Trenchard Smith did part 2.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and I'm like, I really need to go back and watch these because it's been at least 20 years. So now I've got a 4th one to add to that list.
Part 1 really holds up in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's just so much fun.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's a lot smarter in the way it's contained itself. Like in this film, they hold a house party
Yeah.
like it's a nightclub. There's like 200 people there, or 300 people there, and then the guy from what was that? Wyatt Russell's TV show where he goes and joins the Masonic Lodge. I think I actually recommended it on the show once.
Fucking don't know.
in contra to the rule against talking about TV, Lodge 49 or something
Yeah,
like that. I
right.
think it's called. But it's the main guy from that is like he has a bit part as the cop who clears out the party.
Mm.
So there's only the 5 of them left. And I guess they do, but the party itself is like the party in Valentine. Like it's full of, there's like 200 or 300 people there.
Awesome.
And you're like, how are they going to turn this into a, and is it going to be like the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where he just goes through the party bus and they're all in a contained space and just massacres them all.
Yep. Yeah.
But none of that. The cops just come and clear them out. So there's only 5 left. And you're okay. So now it's more like the original when there's
Yeah.
only 5.
Whittle it down.
Because that's the whole thing. The guys go to the party because they think, the ratio is in their favor.
Yeah.
And they're going to do well. And it's Linnea Quigley, and I can't remember the other woman's name, who is also stunning, the main the main kind of protagonist in that film.
Well, there you go.
But yeah,
You did it. You brought us to the end of the show, my friend.
I talked until
Until the clock ran
I
out.
clearly ran out of things to say 10 minutes prior, but
Well, I mean, on to next week, Ben. We're talking about comedy killers, and Melzi is back.
comedy killers, eh?
Yeah, we love having Melzi on the desk. Well, that doesn't sound right. That is to say, we like it when she joins us here on the microphone. Comedy killers, you ready for it?
Yes.
The reason we're doing it is it's comes ahead of the Melbourne Horror Film Society screening of Serial Mum. So
The John Waters film.
yes, so that's what we're going to tie it.
So
in
it's
with.
comedic horror films.
Yes, well, kind of. I have. We can talk about this off mic,
No. Let's talk about it on mic.
Well, we've been doing that all episode,
Yeah.
so we may as well.
Let's show them how the sausage is made.
I'm certainly going to discuss movies that are about specific killers that are comedic. So it's not necessarily a horror film in my interpretation. You can interpret however you want, but I'm doing movies about killers that are funny. So black comedies about a serial killer or about that kind of.
So House That Jack Built, that kind of thing.
If you want
No,
to, yeah.
no.
I mean, but if you want to, that's a
Yeah.
good candidate for sure because it's funny. Anyway, so we can have more of that conversation.
Yeah.
During the week. But you all know what to do. Follow us on social media. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram's where you can find us. And TikTok is the place for the shorter snippets if you have a short attention span. And we have clocked up well over 1 million views on that now. So it's going well. Thanks to the crew.
Have they coughed up any cash because of that 1 million views?
Not yet. It's only a matter of time, my friend. Big bucks will come rolling in. Thanks to Jarrett, Gevo, Joe, Chan, and James. Appreciate what they do every week. Thanks to you for listening. And thanks to you, Ben. I believe you've got a classic song from a classic movie to to send people off with. Might be from a 1949 Disney classic, a Halloween classic.
It is. Well, it's a cover from that. It always it bothers me that the way that Disney have released it now, because it's always Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Yeah.
I don't remember them being together.
Yeah.
I only ever remember seeing Ichabod Crane, which was the Disney Sleepy Hollow, basically
Yeah.
the Headless Horseman,
Yeah.
Horseman thing, and it's kind of the whole movie, or I guess it's a or episode or whatever it is narrated by Bing Crosby, and at one point in the film, when he's doing the voice of Bram Bones, he performs this song, which is the Headless Horseman song, and then K-Star covered it
Yeah.
with this great kind of kind of beatnik kind of almost version,
Totally.
which is like it's one of my all-time favorite songs. I love it.
It's interesting. People are about to hear it, but that release is interesting. I believe, and correct me if I'm mistaken, the two
You
movies...
are mistaken.
The two movies were obviously made in 1949, and they were released as like matinee films before the feature.
Before the feature, like the cartoon before the.
Yeah, long ones, mind you. Like, what they 50 minutes each, I think.
I think. Well, look, I've never, because I really love the Wind in the Willows, the stop
Mr. Toad
motion
story. Oh yeah.
Series or whatever it was, or I only really remember it as a film.
Yep.
I always hated the Disney animated one. I just thought it was stupid. I just really even as a kid, I was like, "What is this shit?" When you've got the Puppetoon version, the stop motion version, and so I've never seen
I
it.
think pairing them up was the Michael Eisner era of Disney when he was doing all those sequels.
Because
And
that's how I got it on DVD.
Yeah.
When I first learned it come out,
Yeah.
I grabbed it and I was like, "What is this shit?"
Yeah.
Like this Mr.
I
Toad thing.
I bought the Blu-ray simply for the Ichabod Mr. Crane. Like,
Yeah.
that story alone was all I cared for. I don't like the Wind in the Willows one either. Anyway, it's a long way to get to the song. Here it is, Headless Horseman by K-Star. Have a good week, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
See you next week.
Do 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 do.
goes on when it gets late. Along about midnight, the ghosts and banshees get together for a jamboree. There's ghosts with horns and saucer eyes. Some have fangs about this size. Some short and fat, some tall and thin, and some don't even bother to wear their skin.
I'm a-telling you, brother, it's a fearful sight just to see what goes on in the night.
When the spooks have a midnight jamboree, they break it up with a fiendish glee.
Ghosts are bad, but the one that's cursed is the headless horseman. He's the worst.
When he goes jogging across the land, holding his noggin right in his hand, demons take one look and groan.
Then they hit the road for parts unknown.
Well, there's no rage like a spook that's burned.
The ghost don't like a man, he's really burned.
He swears to the longest day he's dead.
Well, I'll show them that I can get ahead.
Wow, 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 wow. So close all the windows,
lock all the doors.
Unless you're careful, why he'll get yours.
Don't think he'll hesitate a bit, cause he'll clip your top if it will fit.
He likes them little, he likes them big. Part him in the middle or wear a wig.
Black or white or even red.
The headless horseman needs a head.
With a hip, hip, hip and a clippity clop.
Why, he's out looking for a head to chop. So don't stop to figure out a plan, cause you can't reason with a headless man.
With a hip, hip, hop and a clippity clop. Look out!
We know what we're talking about, believe me. You better watch your cues, but take a look at the people who ignored the old good book. Change your ways, you'll find it pays, cause you can't be a haint if you ain't kinda crazed, I guess you'd say. Take our word, we know what we're talking about. You know, this is a pretty spooky thing we're doing here. You don't mind if I turn on another light, do you?
I never even slept over some dude's house. I love a girl with a heart-shaped hiney.